All right, folks, you might be wondering what I'm doing sitting out in this chair. I'm in Arizona. It is the last day of season of 2023, and we looked out and drew late rifle tags, the easy to draw tags down here in Arizona. So we thought, since the Arizona draw deadline is coming up on February 6th, 2024, may as well do our application video while we're down here. And like always, these application videos are brought to you by our friends at Go Hunt. And you'll hear about how we use that information. You know that we're big believers in it. And if you want it, go to gohunt.com, use promo code Randy, and they'll put $50 of credit in your gear shop when you sign up. But as always, we talk about deadlines first. This is going to trip some people up this year. Arizona rolled their deadline earlier by over a week. February 6th. Last year was February 14th, or a couple of years ago, I think it was. So there's going to be some people probably missing out. And when I get into this, you'll understand why it's so expensive to miss out in Arizona. We usually do the what's new, and we'll put a screenshot up here. But the first thing I do with every state is I go to the page, and they call them proclamations, that says what's new for 2024. That is the first place I go, and that's the first place that you should go. And we'll throw a screenshot up here. We'll give you a link to the regulation proclamations where you can download it. They're all right down here. Things to know about Arizona. 2017, 18, 19, 20, they had the worst drought ever, even in the winter of 2021. They finally got good monsoon in 2021, July and August of 2021. They got great moisture in 2022. And then 2023 was another low moisture year, back to drought. And you can see it in the proposed recommendation for pronghorn again for 2024. Pronghorn recommendations going down. Even for elk, it's going down a little bit. So Arizona's very moisture dependent. In years when they have good moisture, if they can get on a cycle, young of the year survive better, the calf crop, the fawn crop gets better, and you see more tags. And to their credit, they're very responsive that when it's dry, they start cutting tags. So primary focus in Arizona is elk. Antelope, well, you better be a really lucky dog to draw a pronghorn tag in Arizona. Elk, well, if you're going to draw one of the archery or early rifle or early muzzleloader tags, you better be really lucky then also. And I'm not that lucky, so I always go for the late rifle tags. So, cost, right? We always got to allocate our time and our budget to what gives us the best value. Well, in Arizona, you're going to be looking at a $160 non-resident, non-refundable license. You're going to have an application fee of $15 per species. For elk, if you're lucky enough to draw, you're going to end up $650. For pronghorn, $550. Now, the upfront costs are the license cost of $160 and the application fee of $15 per species. Now, they have this other thing, it's kind of like insurance, that it's called point guard, that if for some reason a health event, a scheduling or something, you can pay $5 and you get your points restored when you turn your tag back in. Now they have this new thing called Point Guard Plus that covers multiple cycles. Go to the regulations and read it. It costs more money. Maybe it'd be worth it to you. But anyhow, that's your upfront cost. Now I'm going to talk about Arizona's point system or draw system. It's really kind of corny, but it's what they use. Every state uses something different, and that's why we do these videos. We want you to understand how it works so that you are more prepared to make the most of your investment that you're going to make in whatever state it is. So Arizona has two parts to its draw. They call it the first pass and the second pass. Some people call it the bonus draw and then the 1-2 draw. I'm just going to call it the first pass and the second pass. Now, in Arizona, us non-residents are limited to up to 10% of the tags. Doesn't mean we're guaranteed 10%. Up to 10% of the tags. So in the first pass, they take 20% of the tags for that hunt code. Let's say there's 100 tags. That means 20 of them go over here in what's called the first pass. And for that purpose, they convert your bonus points to preference points. In other words, in that first pass for that 20% of the tags, he or she with the most points is going to get the tag. And those who don't draw in that draw get thrown over into the second portion for the remaining 80% of the tags. And that is done on a true bonus point system. So you got 10 points, I got 2 points. Well, your probability is about 5 times greater than mine because you have 5 times as many points. No more than half of the non-resident quota can be used in the first part, and the remainder, whatever the remainder is, could be used in the second part of the draw to get to the 10% cap. Then Arizona does this thing where they give you a whole bunch of hunt code choices. As a non-resident, only focus on the first 2. Because Arizona does choice 1 and choice 2, and then they go to the next person, choice 1 and choice 2. Once they go through everyone's first and second choice, then they come back and start looking at the third and the fourth and the fifth. Well, there are going to be no non-resident tags left at that time, and if there was, it isn't going to be a hunt code that you're going to want to spend your non-resident dollars on. So, focus on your first and second choice. Now, here's the strategy that I always use because they give you multiple choices. My first choice is usually some home run, swing for the fences. Okay, I'm probably never going to draw, but you never know when you get lucky and get that low random number. And then my second choice is usually something with much better odds. Depending on my point level, my odds might be anywhere from 10 to 25%. Arizona always issues what they think the proposed tag number should be for the upcoming year, and that always comes out in early December. It's already out. I have looked at it, and that's how I know what the tag increases or decreases will be in each unit. Now, their commission will finalize that in the next couple of weeks. Pay attention to that, because if there's a year where tag numbers got increased, that might be a year you can sneak in and have better probability with the lower number of points. And just the opposite's true. In a year when the tag numbers are cut, don't look at last year's tag numbers and use that as your baseline. You know the draw odds are going to go down. So it better be a unit you're really interested in a year when they're cutting tags. So pay attention to that. Then there's 2 ways you can get an extra bonus point in Arizona. One is a permanent bonus point. It's called a Hunter Ed point. You used to have to fly down here and sit through a class, but you don't have to do that anymore. Now you can do it online. It's going to cost you $300, but that's still way cheaper than flying to Arizona, renting a car, doing whatever. And then they have a loyalty point. If you've applied consecutively for 5 years, they give you on your 5th year, after your 5th year, they give you a bonus point. And as long as you keep applying every year, you maintain that bonus point. So me, I've got 2 bonus points already. Even though I drew this year for elk, next year I'm going to go in with 2 bonus points. My loyalty point and my Hunter Ed point. So be thinking about that. And that's why it's so important and so painful if you miss a deadline in Arizona, because not only do you fail to get a bonus point for that year, you lose your loyalty point for the next 5 years. It's going to take you 5 years to get back to having a loyalty point. So pay attention, use those choices properly, and understand that there are some ways to improve your odds a little bit with those 2 points I talked about. Public land in Arizona, tons of it. Over 60% of Arizona is public land. You are not going to have a problem finding a place to hunt. If you're over 10, you can hunt here if you've passed Hunter Ed. And you have to pass Hunter Ed if you're born after January 1, 1966. If you have a child, look at the non-resident youth license. It's $5. That's a screaming deal. Do it. Start building points for them now. And it's not that expensive at this point when they turn 18. Yeah, it is going to get expensive, but it's a way to build some points, a really cheap way for kids. Some people say, can I just buy a point? Well, yeah, they have that option. But I ask, why would you? I mean, if it's really a tough year for you, make your 2 choices just the most ridiculously difficult hunts in the entire hunt codes. And maybe you'll draw. So, better than buying a point. I talked about the point guard thing. You can return tags in Arizona. Just go and make sure that it's worth the money for you. There aren't many tags I'd return in Arizona, so point guard for me, it's more of a donation to Arizona Game and Fish if I do it. Short-term options in Arizona, there really aren't many, at least not for elk, and there are none for pronghorn. Pronghorn in Arizona is a long-term option. Yeah, every year you hear, oh man, I drew at 2 points. That is so rare. Now with elk, it's not as uncommon. I would say that nothing in Arizona for elk is short-term. Mid-term, 5 to 9 years, could be some of the late rifle hunts. But even some of the late rifle hunts are long-term options. If there is a shorter term option, it is Arizona's late archery hunts that happen in November. Very difficult hunts, very low success rates. But if you're up for it, hey, you know what? You might be in Arizona. Last part, people always say, is this state worth it or that state worth it? For me, Arizona is definitely worth it. I always put Arizona and Wyoming as my 2 favorite elk states in terms of value. And value is where the price and the quality of the product intersect. There's no place that has better value than Arizona and Wyoming, the 2 first states right out of the chute that we cover. So I can see myself, I'm always applying in Arizona because of that, but also there's a ton of other things to do. Later on in June, they're gonna have the deer and the sheep deadline. And if you wanna come down, javelina hunting, quail hunting, dove hunting, whatever, there's a ton of other stuff here. So I think for most traveling non-resident elk hunters, Arizona is going to be pretty high up the list. Try to be as quick as I can. I got to get out of here. Today's the last day. I got about 3 hours to try fill my elk tag on this hunt. Been a ton of fun. I'm looking for something pretty darn special, so the odds are in the next 3 hours, I'm probably not going to find them. But like always, these videos are brought to you by Go Hunt. Their strategy articles, their detail is way more in depth than what I've provided here. For the cost of what it is and how much benefit you're going to get if you're a traveling non-resident hunter, go there and sign up. Use promo code RANDY. They'll put $50 of credit in your gear shop. You're going to get draw odds. You're going to get all their strategy articles. Just the strategy articles, in my mind, are worth it. But you're going to get the draw odds. You're going to get maps. And you're going to get the best gear shop. And $50 of credit in that gear shop. But last of all, do not miss the deadline of February 6th. I told you, it's very punitive to miss a deadline in Arizona. Don't miss it. Good luck.